Cheerleading is not a sport.
I mean, this is intense. That's a sport. I'll go out that's a sport right there.
Cheerleading isn't a sport.
Cheerleading is too underdeveloped and disorganized to be considered a sport.
When you think of a sport, you don't think of people throwing each other up in the air.
If that's not a sport, I don't know what is, because that's athleticism right there.
What exactly is a sport? A sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. Although traditional sideline cheerleading is not considered a sport, these athletes participate in national and international competitions that make it a sport. I bet you're wondering how this makes sense, so let me break it down for you. There are 4 different types of cheerleading. First is a traditional sideline cheerleading for different sports like football and basketball. This type of cheerleading is not a sport according to the textbook definition. The second form of cheerleading is all-star cheerleading. All-star teams do not cheer for a specific school or team, but are rather known to be a club sport. These teams train and compete year-round with only a 1 to 2 week break. This type of cheerleading falls under the definition of a sport because teams are competing against other opponents for a high score. The third type of cheerleading is NFL and NBA cheerleaders. These athletes are in fact dancers, as they only dance on the sidelines and at halftime, rather than flipping and throwing stunts. Since these cheerleaders are actually dancers and do not compete against other athletes, this is not considered a sport. Lastly, collegiate cheerleading consists of both sideline cheerleading and competition cheerleading. For the fall semester or quarters, college cheer teams are supporting their school sports teams from the sideline, but when the new year comes around, these athletes are practicing every day of the week, sometimes twice a day, for a national championship. In the collegiate cheer world, there are only 3 national championships. There's UCA, USA, and NCA. All competitions fall under varsity, the lead brand in all things cheerleading. Unlike all-star teams, college teams are only allowed to compete at 1 event per year, meaning they only compete against other teams once every year. Specifically at Washington State University, our season starts in June and ends in April. Although we are not competing every month of this time frame, we are practicing every day, if not twice a day, during Hell Week. During the practices from June to October, we have practice Monday through Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., with weightlifting after every Tuesday and Thursday practice, and we don't leave the gym until 6:30 p.m. During our practices, we work game day material like cheers, stunts, and tumbling for 1 hour, and work on skills we want to compete at nationals for the last hour. When November comes around, our team puts together our nationals formations. For a college cheer team competing at NCA, our routine consists of standing tumbling, running tumbling, 2 elite level stunts, jumps, basket tosses, pyramids, 1 full team stunt, and a dance. That's a lot, don't you think? All of these skills must fit into a 2-minute and 30-second routine. From November to April, our team practices our routine Monday through Thursday, weightlifting schedule included. On top of this crazy schedule, we are always expected to cheer at football, basketball, and volleyball games on the weekends, sometimes even during the week before or after practice. We cheer 16+ hours a week and are expected to receive a 2.0 GPA or higher to remain on the team. Don't get me started on trying to fit in a work schedule while being a student athlete. As cheerleading creates mental stress, it also creates a great deal of physical stress. Many safety regulations are constantly being changed within cheerleading divisions, especially for collegiate athletes who perform skills on a 1-inch thick mat, turf, and a basketball court. However, these safety regulations are not always effective because accidents can happen. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, over 38,000 cheerleaders visited the ER in 2011. Among catastrophic injuries like brain damage and paralysis, cheerleading has the second highest injury rate, with football at number 1. It doesn't make sense that cheerleading is not considered a sport by many, but is ranked more dangerous than other contact sports. At WSU, we are fortunate enough to have athletic trainers at all of our practices and events, but we only received them when injuries within our program were high. During my freshman year, our team suffered more than 10 concussions, several ankle and wrist injuries, and even sent one of our teammates to the hospital on a stretcher. From athletics, WS Cheer is fully funded, but only for our sideline cheerleading needs. We must fundraise money to buy new uniforms, cover some nationals fees, and pay for our championship rings. We are rarely recognized by athletics when it comes to our accomplishments, like student-athlete scholars that have a 3.0 and above GPA. This past season, our program won its first ever national championship at the USA Collegiate Nationals. We won first place in the fight song division and had the overall highest score for our traditional routine out of everyone at the competition. However, although athletics says they fully fund our program, we are having to pay for our Grand National Championship rings, which averaged to $250 per person. It may not seem like a big deal, but our program has never received a first place title in all of its years. One question still remains. Is cheerleading a sport? As discussed earlier, sideline and professional cheerleading are not considered a sport, but all-star and competition cheerleading is. Teams that compete go through extensive training and adversity to be the best team in their division. Athletes work through injuries and step on a mat with the biggest smile on their face while performing some of the toughest skills for entertainment. Cheerleading requires resilience as the athletes have to face many mental and physical obstacles and spend countless hours in the gym, all for one 2-minute and 30-second routine. Cheerleaders are some of the fiercest athletes that make their skills look easy. Put us on the list of sports and watch the industry grow.